Those look like house sparrows.
They are quiet. I like that.
Yeah.
You like how quiet they are?
Yeah, because I actually, it's probably one of the most annoying bird sounds that I can experience, actually.
Aw.
But I know God appreciates every one of them,
Yeah.
even the ones that are annoying.
Especially those.
You're live. Scott, what I'm seeing on Zoom is not what's on my screen. You're live on Facebook right now, Scott,
Yes, I am.
but we're not. On the
You're
wings
seeing the
with-
wrong thing then, because I'm looking at Facebook.
I'm looking at Facebook and you're there, but the Zoom meeting has On the Wings with Dan George.
Mm-hmm. I think you're getting confused with what you're seeing. Yeah, you kind of pointed something out yesterday, and everybody was seeing it on Facebook except for you.
I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, somebody said I said see Kent on Facebook in thumbnail. That's because he's talking. Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Eka says from Sweden, it looks like it should.
Yeah, I closed the link I had and reopened it and it came up fine. That's twice in one.
Yeah, you have to refresh the page.
Yeah, I did. I went to Facebook and went to Explore Scientific and clicked the link and it opened up you, but not the broadcast. It was very strange.
Maybe watch YouTube in the future.
Maybe.
So we got Cameron Gillis on, Bergman Scooter, Book Davies, Mike Wiesner. Who else? Pekka, of course. Harold Locke. Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts with the Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and you are watching On the Wing. Let's see if I can get my camera straightened out here. Here we go. We're on the Wing with Dan George and Kent Martz. And what's our show today, Kent?
Well, it was going to be reader submissions, but there was a little bit of confusion that I caused. So we're going with Sparrows today because that's what Dan's prepared for. So
Great.
we're seeing next week's. We're back to the future. We're going to the future for next week's show, and then next week we'll come back and pick up the reader submissions. So and that just gives us more chance for our I could say reader submissions, viewer submissions, for our viewer submissions to send in more pictures. So let me get this set up here.
Reader submissions. That harks back to your newspaper days, Kent.
That most assuredly harkens back to my reader newspaper days. Only about 45 years worth of that. So anyway, so here we go. Come on, there we go. All right, so here we go. Here's a photo of a chipping sparrow that Sheldon got in Joe Daviess County, Illinois. I'm going to start putting the location of these photos so people have an idea of where they were taken. And yes, it's spelled Daviess County. I looked it up in 3 different sources just to make sure. So here we go. Chipping sparrow, beautiful little bird. Okay, Dan, what you got? Obviously, there's a red-winged blackbird back there. I heard a woodpecker, but
Actually, the chipping sparrow, I think, is one of my favorite sparrows. It always brings springtime. It's usually in the month of June. At least I'm in Colorado, but it's about the same everywhere. Or it's a migratory bird, and that call that Kent provided us is absolutely a spectacular sound. You can be 100 yards away from that bird, and he's up there just singing that same dry little chatter sound, and you know exactly what kind of bird it is, and it's a chipping sparrow. It's only about 5.5 inches long. I mean, for a little small bird to have that strong and distinctive a call, it's pretty wonderful. And the chipping sparrow is one of 37 species of sparrows in the United States, in North America.
Obviously, they're all over the United States, amazingly. South Florida, a little bit weirdly in Washington and Oregon, which I find sort of bizarre. They've got to be there. But it's a beautiful bird. Obviously, that rust-colored cap is the telltale what it is. So let's listen to that again real quick. It just goes. Go ahead.
For those viewers that are into bird watching and then also bird by ear, this is one of the most recognizable sparrows in North America, mainly because of its call. So, I would say in most cases, maybe half the birds that I identify them from their call, because all 900 plus birds in North America, each one has its own distinctive call and not the same as another one. So it's pretty fan. I think it's remarkable. I love this bird.
It's a beautiful bird. All right, here we go. So next bird is from Terry Stanfill. This is another chipping sparrow from a different angle. I included it so we could see a little bit more side of the bird in a still image. Obviously that rust colored or red colored cap, and then the black eye bars surrounded by the white eye circle are probably the two most telling things other than its size. It's just a beautiful bird and sitting on some brand new barbed wire. So,
Plus, another thing about the chipping sparrow is that the chipping sparrow has two white wing bars.
as you can see right here, yep, the tips right here and right here. You can't see my mouse. Yep. So they're visible on this picture though, really well. That's just a beautiful bird. All right, so going on, LeConte's sparrow, and I meant to look up who LeConte was. My guess is he's probably one of Audubon's friends. Audubon named a lot of birds after his friends and people who were on expeditions with him. So let's listen to it real quick.
Well, that's really different.
Come on, do it again. There was one in the background.
Yeah. The remarkable thing about this particular sparrow, most sparrows are kind of plain, but this one has a white central crown stripe. You can actually see it there. It might be a little dim, but you can see that it's got a crown that has a white stripe going down it. And
Trying to stop it.
It's of course a central flyway bird, only visible in the central states all the way up to Canada. And they even get down to Florida. I don't know why. God has them going down there too, I guess. And they like wet and grassy fields and marshes. So if you're not going to find them out in the dry prairie land, you're going to find them where there's water.
Just a beautiful, this picture that Terry got, the beautiful setting sun or rising sun.
Actually, Kent, that might be the most spectacular picture I've ever seen of a LeConte. That's awesome.
Really, I'll pass that along to Terry Hill, and I hope he's watching. But it is just a beautiful bird.
Another comment about the LeContes is that if you were looking at the female right now, it would lack the white central stripe on the crown.
And in this picture, it looks pretty yellow. Is that because of the golden light, or is it more golden than the typical brown sparrow?
It's referred to as buffy orange.
Okay.
Certainly unique, and it's showing wonderful colors, and I'm sure it's not being manipulated by Terry. That's just the way it is. It's a marvelous bird.
Just a beautiful colored bird, just beautiful. And a lot of times, because we see so many house sparrows, we think of them as being just sort of dull and noisy, like house sparrows are. So we'll look at that. We'll see a house sparrow next week.
I'll add one thing about sparrows, guys. It's unusual that the house sparrow, that we're not necessarily talking about it, but we are. House sparrows are literally named house sparrows because almost everybody's home in the United States, Canada, and everywhere has a house sparrow. But most of these sparrows that we're talking about, you will not have them in the neighborhood. They will be out in the fields. They'll be out in the foothills. They'll be out in the canyons. They'll be out away from residential areas.
I lived in Bentonville, and it's got a lot of trees, and I had a big park next to me. And we would see a lot of sparrows other than house sparrows, but only because I live in a forest. But obviously you don't have any water there, so you're not going to see like LeConte sparrow because there's no water. All right, so moving along to
a couple of comments here, guys.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just Harold Locke is mentioning he tries to grab pictures with this small scope. He made a bird bath that he can video, and it seems like sometimes when he's out there, they just don't come around, but they show up when I'm not there, and they leave proof. This morning I didn't I didn't set up the bird bath right away. I was standing out on the porch, and the bird saw me, and he was complaining to a fellow bird, waving his wings and chatting away. After they left, I set up the bird bath, and we'll see if they come and play and let me photograph them in the future.
So,
Look,
so one thing I did when I was a kid, I always wanted to feed birds out of my hands. I'd go out and lay down under the bird feeder, and
okay.
the birds would never come up. I'd lay down, sort of in a cross position with bird food around me and in my hands, and I never could. And I was reading a book, I don't remember what the book was, but it was an outdoor adventure book. I love that sort of stuff. And this kid went out before dawn and laid down, and the birds yesterday that wouldn't come up to him came up to him that day, because he was there when the sun came up, and they just assumed he was part of the landscape. So I tried that, and it did work up until the time I moved, in which case it didn't work again. But it did work. So Harold, you might try going out before sunrise, and or staying up all night doing astronomy, and then go set up on your bird bath.
Sure.
And see if you can draw them in. Now Terry, a lot of these pictures Terry's getting, he's taking from blinds and structures that help to hide him, so that helps a lot as well. But anyway, so
we actually sell structures to do that with, so we should probably show that sometime.
Yeah, the two room observing tent would be spectacular for birding as well.
We also have a camouflage tent.
That's true. We have those camouflage tents. We need to feature those. Cool. Maybe put those on special for our do a special one of these days.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Field sparrow. That's just beautiful.
Such a beautiful call for a little bird that's only 5 3/4 inches long. And this is another one of those special sparrows that we birders like to talk about, because that's such a distinctive call. And that you will find that in neighborhoods like the chipping sparrow. But anyway, this is a marvelous bird just because of the call that Kent just played. Man, you can say there is a field sparrow in my backyard. It's awesome.
So here's another picture Terry got of a field sparrow. To me, in this picture, it almost looks like a little parakeet head or something. It's just a really rounded head, and look at that white eye ring all the way around it. It's just
one of the field marks for the field sparrow is in fact the white eye ring.
Right.
The majority of sparrows do not have white eye rings.
And it's just, again, just a beautiful bird. And I think sparrows, the native sparrows get, in a lot of people get, sort of downplayed. But there's how many species? 37, is that what you said?
Yeah. Yes.
37 species of sparrows. They're just a magnificent range of birds. All right, so that's the field sparrow. I need to find out what these plants are on. It looks like coffee bean or something like that. It's always good to identify what they're on as well. Helps us learn what kind of plants they like to be around. So here's Harris's sparrow, and in fact, named after one of Audubon's companions, long time companions on his sojourns through the wilderness, and he named Harris's sparrow and also Harris's hawk after him. I know that because I looked it up, and again, as you can see, let's see,
always goes back to us.
Kent, do you have another picture of the Harris sparrow?
I do not.
Okay, the Harris sparrow, if you were to take a look at another, male, for example, has a black crown, black forehead, and a black bib.
So this is a female.
I would say I could say it's
Okay.
either a female or it could be a first-year juvenile
So
because they don't start molting into their adult until second year.
right. So that starting to be salt and pepper cap turns all black, and that's why
Yes.
I actually sent this picture to you to verify what it
Yeah.
was, because I was concerned that it didn't match the other pictures, and I just want to make sure. If you look on the video picture, you can see that black cap on its top of its head.
Yeah, it's actually a black head. It's pretty black. So
Yeah,
folks that are watching or listening right now, go on the internet, just put in Harris sparrow and take a look at how awesome that male looks. By the way, the Harris sparrow is one of the few larger sparrows that are 7.5 inches long. Now you compare that to the LeConte, it's only 5 inches. We talked about the LeConte. Okay, this one is 2.5 inches longer. That's a big bird.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at a Harris sparrow right now, and this particular view of it's got like kind of a crest going on its head. Its face it's got a black face.
That's right.
A
Black bib.
white breast, and almost looks like a cardinal in this particular picture I'm seeing right now.
It's an awesome bird. And you guys are lucky in the central states because if you go east or west, you're not going to see them.
Okay, I'm back with you. Had somebody come in my office, something important. Okay, so there's LeConte sparrow, or Harris's sparrow. Now I gotta get my screen back up. There we go. All right, so just a beautiful bird. All right, moving along. This is a cool looking little bird. And I actually did not know this bird existed. I had never heard of it before, although I've thumbed through bird books from my dad's bird books, and I didn't remember this one. A grasshopper sparrow. So
Oh.
here we go. That almost sounds like it reminds me of a red-winged blackbird call almost, but not nearly as, but somewhat similar. What can you tell us about it?
I can also tell you, like the LeConte, this is only 5 inches long. These are monomorphic, so the male and the female appear to be the same. They have a short tail and they have a flat head. And these are interesting field marks compared to most other sparrows. They have a buffy breast and they have a yellowish lore, which is the area between the front of the eye and the bill. It's hard to see, but it's there. You look at some pictures, you'll see it.
What's it called?
A yellowish lore, Lore. It's an anatomical thing relative to birds.
And what is it?
It's just an identifier for that particular
Okay.
bird. I can also tell you that I remember the first time I ever saw a grasshopper sparrow was here in Colorado, and I went with one of my mentors. He's gone to the Lord now, but he was Bill Brockner was his name, and he says it's one of the most difficult birds to hear because the pitch of that call that you played there, Kent, is very high and very indistinct. And if you hear it, then you know for a fact that there's a grasshopper sparrow there. It's very hard to see. There, yeah. Not the crickets.
Yeah, it really helps to see the bird because you can tell when it makes the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really helps to have to actually see the bird for me because that tells me exactly which one it is. Because many times there's all sorts of other birds in the background that are just sort of drowning it out. So, how big was this bird? Again, is it about a 5-inch size sparrow?
Just 5 inches long.
Most sparrows must be in that 5-inch range.
Yeah, I think
You know,
5 to 6.5. Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
yep. So that's the end of our birds. Again, you can tell this is a eastern United States bird. Although obviously you're probably not in that very far north Colorado. You said you're in Colorado,
Yeah,
so obviously these range maps are at best an approximation.
that's
Uh,
correct.
And it appears that they're generally not as they're more conservative than the bird distribution may really be. Would that
And
be?
remember that birds do not have borders. So, you
Yeah.
could be in San Francisco and see one of these birds because it just got caught up in some winds that blew them west. Okay. So birds can be found everywhere, but generally speaking, those range maps are accurate.
Okay. So, and our last just pretty picture is Ozark wake robin and a tiny insect. I was not able to identify the insect. This wake robin is a pretty small flower, and obviously that's a little bitty bug on there. But Terry, as we all know, Terry gets a lot of itty bitty bugs on itty bitty flowers many times. So that's what we got this week with sparrows. And next week we'll be doing reader submissions. I encourage everyone, if Harold gets some good video or just some okay video, it doesn't matter.
Viewer submissions, not reader submissions.
Boy, I'm stuck in newspaper mode. Sorry about that.
Well, I did write down some things about sparrows. The one thing that kind of surprised me about sparrows is that they know how to swim, and they can swim pretty fast to get away from predators. So they're not a water bird, obviously, but they know how to swim.
I didn't know
I gotta
that.
watch some video of sparrows swimming.
It's fun to watch birds and bird baths when they start and dust baths when they just start getting after it, and splashing water everywhere. And it looks just like a joyous ritual of either water or dust. And I would love for Harold to get some pictures. Hey, Harold, you might move your bird bath to where you can shoot through a window. If you can move your bird bath to a window and then just shoot through the glass, that's going to be spectacular. It'll be fine. So we'll welcome you to do that as well.
I believe that one primary reason why birds will take bird baths and also dust baths is to rid themselves of lice and other little insects that might be living on their bodies.
Yep. So next week, reader submissions. We got some quail and some doves and some other stuff next week. And then the week after that is going to be wings on the water. So we might see a duck or two. And then episode 10 is going to be more sparrows. So I've got a couple of weeks ahead. I'll be working on some more. I've got more sparrows than what I have I've got probably another in 2 weeks, and then probably another show after that of sparrows. So then we're going to do maybe finches or vireos or something like that. So looking forward to it. Harold, get some video in your bird bath and send it to me. Holler at us, and we use for video transfer. We use the We Transfer app website. Real simple, real straightforward, easy to use. So when you get ready, contact Annie because you're in contact with her through the Explore Alliance, and we'll get that set up for you. So anyway, I'd love to see more viewer submissions.
There you go. Excellent.
All
Well,
right.
that's great. We have Annie here with us. Annie, do we have anything new going on with Explore Alliance or?
No, it's still the same. Well, I mean, if you watched the show yesterday, I mean,
It's still the same.
it's not really the same. It's never
never
the
the
same.
same.
It's never the same. It's always something new, but, you know, we still have that astrophotography, contest for galaxies going through August 15th. So,
Okay.
submit. We're also looking for, never entered. We have that category. So we really want to see some new submissions. We have, well, we don't have it on our calendar because we're not going to be there, but the Nebraska Star Party is August, I believe it's the weekend of August 6th. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah.
That's when it starts.
Yep.
So there's that going on. The Astronomical League Conference is August 19th through the 21st. That will be a live event that we will have. And then any of our platinum members can still purchase the Bino viewers, pre-order those at a special discount, and that crystal etched desktop ED 152
Paperweight.
decor. I'm gonna call it decor. There's only 10 of those, and so we're selling them for $59.99. They usually go for $99, about $99.99. So you know, we've got some stuff coming through the works, and so we're starting to get our train going a little bit quicker. So
Very cool.
so yeah.
Very
yeah.
cool. One of the things that we talked about too, Kent and I talked about the eclipse expeditions that we're putting together, and Kent, you're pointing to your ear?
I was telling Annie to mute her microphone.
Oh, okay. I thought you couldn't hear me. Anyway,
about that.
we're definitely thinking about having like a birding aspect to the Star Party as well. So we saw tons of birds out there in hill country of Texas, and I think it'll be certainly appropriate, to combine that. So anyways, Dan, thanks very much for all of your knowledge about, I'm actually pretty, as we go along and doing these things, I'm really impressed with your, your ability to pick up on a bird's song and know what that bird is. So that's amazing, really. How many birds do you think you can do that with?
I have just short of 600 life birds, meaning birds that I've identified.
Yeah.
I'd say at least maybe at least 100 of those would be ones that if I could hear the sound right now, I'd say, "Oh my
You
God!"
would just go, "Okay,
there's
that's
an oriole outside,"
Mm-hmm.
because there's like 6 or 7 orioles, and they all have a similar sound until they get to their call. Then the call is different. That's about how many.
Very cool. Very cool. Great.
600.
Yeah.
Wow. And okay, how do you do that? Talk about the process a person would go through to launch down that path.
It starts actually first of all, it would help if you had a 7-power binocular. I don't mean a 10, but a 7 or 8-power binocular. But it starts with the birds in your backyard. So challenge yourself to learn to identify every bird in your backyard. And then after you've done that, you've nailed every one of those, so to speak, go to a local park, go to a local lake or whatever, and you'll definitely hear and see different birds that are not in your backyard. And then it becomes kind of a competitive thing. Quite frankly, it was for me for many years since the late 80s. I would take trips, and I would go trips on doing nothing but looking for birds. Let's say I was looking for 2 nights, looking for owls only. And so
Dan, you mentioned 7-power or 8-power binoculars. Why not 10-power?
it's called hand trimmer. If you hold the binocular up to your eyes And let's say you put a 30 power telescope in front of your eyes. Are you going to be able to hold that still enough to see the moon? No, you won't, because of hand tremor. But the human body actually can take 7 or 8 power without any tremoring. And that's why they're most ideal. A 10 power is for people that think they need to have more power, but they really don't, because it's rare that you're going to want to see all the real details of a particular bird. That's when you should get a spotting scope. Go to Explore Scientific and get yourself a nice, 15 to 45 eyepiece and put it on a tripod, and then you can look at the detail.
Yeah. Okay, good information. Because I have birds in the backyard, and I've actually been sitting there trying to spot them when I'm down. But you've got to be, observant and look where they land, and then watch that bird and listen to its call.
Another thing, by the way, for your viewers, is that if you want to get a field guide, I'll hold this one up in front of you. It's called National Geographic Field Guide to North American Birds. It's got all 1,000 birds in North America. And they're all drawings. They're not photographs. Drawings are actually preferable because, birds molt. So if you take a picture of a bird before he molts, you can't say that's this particular bird, because they're going to look different in 3 months. So I would say get yourself a reputable field guide to North American birds. Take that with you on vacations, take it with you on trips, and try to find something new. Add it to your list, and also to keep a list, keep a life list. Life means it's the first time on a date. It's the first time you've seen, let's say, a northern cardinal, because I don't have them here. Okay. The first time you've seen that goes down as a life list. You can never count that as a life bird ever again.
That's sort of like
596, I think, 595 birds.
So have you picked out the other 5 you're going to get easiest, or, you got to get to 600, Dan.
The thing is that I literally need to go to a different state or a different area because I've gotten everyone in Colorado that I know of anyway. And also, I'm no longer motivated to compete. If I don't get 600, you know what? To me, it's probably one of the most marvelous hobbies other than singing, other than music.
That's awesome. And it involves music. So I just looked it up. You can get a brand new one online for under $25. So that's not a bad investment at all. And like you're talking about the life list, our friend David Levy, who started astronomy when he was 7, Scott, has literally written down everything he's ever observed.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have done that when I was a kid. The memories it would bring back of and my impressions of things like Comet West and Comet Bennett and Kohoutek and Hale-Bopp, and the going out with Dad and shooting lunar eclipses and some solar eclipses that happened. I got to see partials. I would love to see that today. And same with birds. Dad has written down when he saw birds in his bird book, but he didn't create a life list. I haven't done it, but I'm going to start doing that because it's such a great idea. That's going to be awesome. All right.
Well, thank you, everybody. That's great. Thank you, Dan, Ken.
Thanks, Scott.
Putting those programs together, and Dan, for all your knowledge, and Annie, thank you for your Explore Alliance update.
Yeah.
And we'll be back tomorrow with focus on astrophotography with Chuck and Ross and Cameron Gillis. So until that time, you guys keep looking up. It's now cloudy here in Arkansas, but yesterday I saw a beautiful moon, setting over the horizon. It was pretty late at night when I finished up with Caitlin Ahrens and Abel Mendez. I promised that people's minds would explode when Abel got on, and he delivered on that. His talks about astrobiology and life in the universe was really amazing. So I'm glad you guys hang in there with us, and we've got more to come. So take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks.
everybody.